the plane made an almost 90-degree turn, completely reversing its direction. Rather than heading toward China, it turned toward Malaysia. And the final connection occurred at 8:19 a.m. So when it shut down, the plane disappeared from ATC radar. Some researchers believe the plane was hijacked. It suddenly vanished, changed direction, and ultimately crashed into the ocean. Others claim that the pilot was suicidal, deliberately crashing the plane to commit suicide. What exactly happened to it? The missing flight MH370 made headlines once again after 11 years.
MH370.
MH370. For MH370.
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 As the Malaysian government has once more initiated efforts to locate it.
Well, after more than a decade, one of aviation's greatest mysteries could soon be solved, with a new search commencing for MH370.
This marks the third attempt to find the wreckage of the plane. A company named Ocean Infinity is leading this search operation, and the Malaysian Transport Ministry has announced that the search is on a no-find, no-fee basis. This means that if Ocean Infinity locates the wreck of MH370 within 18 months, the Malaysian government will reward them $70 million. If the wreckage is not found, they will receive nothing. The question remains, since two previous attempts to locate the plane ended in failure, why is this third attempt being made after 11 years? And is there any guarantee that its wreckage will be found this time? While many planes have disappeared in the past, the mystery surrounding MH370's disappearance is so profound that no expert has yet been able to conclusively determine what exactly happened to it. Some researchers believe the plane was hijacked. Others claim that terrorists were involved and that 11 individuals linked to Al-Qaeda had a role. There is also a theory describing it as a ghost flight, suggesting that prior to the crash, all on board became unconscious due to a technical malfunction that caused a lack of oxygen, leaving the autopilot to continue flying until the fuel was exhausted and the plane crashed. Still, others claim that the pilot was suicidal, deliberately crashing the plane to commit suicide. Exactly what happened will only be known when the black box is recovered, which is why this third search attempt is so crucial. Despite the many bold claims and extensive research, there is evidence suggesting some truth in these statements. In 2018, following a full investigation into MH370's disappearance, a 495-page report was submitted, and it clearly outlined the known facts. Before we delve deeper into the theories, let us first review what occurred on the 8th of March 2014. It was midnight on the 8th of March 2014. Flight MH370, a scheduled flight from Malaysia to China, took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. The plane had 239 people on board, 227 passengers, 10 crew members, and 2 pilots, and was bound for Beijing. Most of the passengers were Chinese, 152 in total, with 38 Malaysians and the remaining from countries including India, Indonesia, Australia, France, the USA, Russia, and others. The captain was 53-year-old Zahari Ahmad Shah, and the co-pilot was 27-year-old Farik Hamid Ahmad. After takeoff, the plane ascended to its cruising altitude and followed its planned route from Malaysia over the South China Sea, then over Vietnam, en route to Beijing. Everything proceeded normally. The plane reached its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet at 1:01 a.m. and continued flying at its normal speed over the South China Sea. However, by 1:07 a.m., problems began, and by 1:21 a.m., 2 major communication systems had shut down. These systems, known as ACARS, automatically send data such as fuel levels, altitude, weather, location, and other information to air traffic control at fixed intervals every 30 minutes in this case. The ACARS system made its last transmission at 1:07 a.m. and was scheduled to transmit again at 1:37 a.m., but it did not, indicating that it had shut down, either through pilot action or by malfunction, though the exact cause remains unknown. Prior to this, at 1:19 a.m., a voice transmission occurred between pilot Zahari and Malaysian ATC via the VHF communication system, during which the pilot said, "Good night, Malaysian, 7:30. After this transmission, the communication system also went off. Additionally, at 1:21 a.m., another major communication system, the transponder, shut down. The transponder is responsible for making the flight visible on ATC radar, so when it shut down, the plane disappeared from ATC radar, and no one has determined who turned it off. At this point, however, the plane was still being tracked by the military's powerful radar, which does not depend on transponders, but instead uses radio waves that reflect off the aircraft's metal surface. The military radar radar revealed a shocking development. Instead of continuing along its original path over the South China Sea, the plane made an almost 90-degree turn, completely reversing its direction. Rather than heading toward China, it turned toward Malaysia and, after crossing the Strait of Malacca, disappeared somewhere in the Indian Ocean. Military radar tracked the plane until approximately 2:22 a.m. near Penang Island, after which it too lost track of the aircraft. The plane did not crash immediately. It continued flying, as evidenced by satellite communications. The aircraft had a fourth communication system, the Satellite Data Unit (SDU), which automatically connected to the Inmarsat 3F1 satellite. The first satellite connection was established at 2:25 a.m., and the final connection occurred at 8:19 a.m., with a total of 7 connection attempts, 6 successful ones. After the final connection at 8:19 a.m., no further contact was made from the plane. Using data from these satellite connections, experts calculated the plane's speed and distance and defined a probable search area known as the 7th arc. Each successful satellite connection helped to narrow down the potential location of the plane, with the final connection marking the boundary of the 7th arc. Further calculations designated a priority search zone covering 25,000 square kilometers. Initially, a surface search was conducted, which was terminated on 28 April 2014 after yielding no results. An underwater search operation then began, lasting 3 years and costing $160 million. Yet not a single piece of evidence was found. Although some items were observed during the underwater search, the mission was suspended on 17 January 2017. A second underwater search commenced on 16 January 2018 and continued until 29 May 2018, again without success. In July 2018, the Malaysian government submitted its final investigation report, stating that the wreckage, flight data recorder, and cockpit voice recorder had not been recovered, and the case was subsequently closed. However, not a single piece of evidence has been completely missing from the investigation. To date, 30 pieces of debris have been found, 3 of which have been confirmed as originating from MH370. The first piece, a flaperon, was discovered in 2015. The second, a part of an outboard flap, was found in May 2016, and the third, a right-wing flap, was found in June 2016. These pieces were not all found in one location. Instead, they were scattered across various areas of the Indian Ocean, likely carried by ocean currents, as indicated by the distribution of pink dots on maps of the crash area. That covers the wreckage. Despite extensive searches, the main wreckage of the plane was never found, and exactly what happened to the plane that day, what occurred before the crash, remains unknown. Data indicate that the plane exhibited very strange behavior before disappearing from radar. It suddenly vanished, changed direction, and ultimately crashed into the ocean. Several theories have been proposed to explain these events. One theory suggests that a mechanical failure, such as a fire or depressurization, caused the transponder to shut off, leading to a loss of oxygen and rendering everyone on board unconscious, with the plane continuing on autopilot until fuel exhaustion caused it to crash. However, this theory is unlikely since evidence indicates that everyone on board was alive until shortly before the disappearance. An autopilot is not capable of executing such sharp turns. Only a pilot could have done that. In fact, when the plane was crossing the Strait of Malacca, there were 2 other planes in its path, indicating that MH370's course change was a deliberate action by the pilot. Another theory posits that the pilot deliberately deviated the plane from its course, taking it to the Indian Ocean to crash it as an act of suicide. This theory is supported by the fact that the pilot requested extra fuel before the flight and demanded additional oxygen for the cockpit, but not for the cabin, and by evidence found on his flight simulator that showed a route similar to the one MH370 took. However, after a thorough background check, no significant issues were found in the pilot's life, casting doubt on this theory. A further suggestion was that the plane was hijacked by the terrorist group Al-Qaeda, based on the discovery of 2 passengers from Iran with forged passports. Subsequent investigations, however, found no links between these individuals and terrorism, nullifying this theory. Other conspiracy theories, such as those involving remote hijacking, patent conspiracies, and even theories of passenger survival, have also been proposed, but none can be confirmed until the wreckage or the black box is found. In the wake of the MH370 incident, significant changes have been made in aviation. For example, the Emergency Locator Transmitter with Distress Tracking (ELT-DT) system is now being installed in plane. This system continuously sends location data to satellites if a plane exhibits abnormal behavior, enabling ATC to respond promptly. Additionally, Honeywell, the manufacturer of black boxes, has been developing an ejectable black box that can be recovered more more easily after a crash. Many other improvements have also been implemented. For now, the truth remains elusive. No one knows exactly what happened to MH370. The third search attempt is currently underway, with the hope that its black box will eventually be found and the mystery solved. If not, the fate of this plane, along with the 227 passengers, both pilots and crew members, may remain one of aviation's greatest unsolved mysteries for as long as the Earth exists.